don't know how I'm going to load it. I'm being recorded now. And probably the one chapter that I won't ask many questions on is the roof framing class, but I do want you to know how to calculate the amount of squares of roofing. Because I will ask a question on how to calculate squares of roofing, which is really easy. And I'll talk about that on Saturday. The math questions, I'll do examples and give you problems that are going to be pretty damn close to what's going to be on the test. And then the chapters on insulation, drywall, what am I forgetting? The labels on windows, I want you to know those. I did show you how to properly install a window with Tyvek. So I might ask one or two questions about that. What else, Rod? I can't hear you. Is your mic off?
It's probably because I was muted. So,
yeah.
We're 8 through 12 with hardly anything on 12.
Yes.
30 through 32. So
yeah, electrical and plumbing. Those are the two that I forgot. Yeah.
The 18, which is on interior wall finishes, drywall. A little bit on the framing chapter, window stickers type, stickers on windows and doors. The installation vid that you did a post Tyvek after wrap. I showed them a video of installing a finned window pre Tyvek, so they've got it both ways, which is great. A little bit of layout. I wrote this down. You didn't mention it, but the water dousing, just to throw that out there, that was pretty damn interesting, I thought.
It was really interesting, and everybody tried it except for one person. I won't mention any names, but everybody that tried it was pretty fascinated.
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. What's the question?
Matthias, go ahead.
Never mind. I was just gonna ask you to repeat it, but I'll just watch the video after.
Which one?
My Wi-Fi's really lagging right now. No, the whole thing. I just lagged the whole thing.
Oh, from last night?
No, just what you just said.
Oh,
it was just lagging. Like the Wi-Fi was bad. But I'll just watch it over again. It's all good.
Okay, but anyway, just go back through plumbing, electrical, installation, drywall, chapters 18, 17, 30, 31, 32, maybe something about, anything James might have said. I'll go over some.
Yeah, I included a lot of information about different size wires and electrical that's not in the book. Color coding, what size breakers for what size wire. You should have all that information. You needed it for the midterm, so you should have it together. It'll be a lot of, what we will probably do is repeat some of the same questions, so that's going to make it easier for you. And we're not trying to flunk anybody with the final. We want you to do well and finish up well. The scores on the midterm were really, really good. So only a couple of you did not do well, and so that's not bad. Usually in our classes, the lower scores, there's a lot more of you, and most of you did well on the midterm, so that was good. So I suspect or expect that the same results are going to happen with the final. We're not going to the book gives us some sample questions, and there's some really screwy, really picayune questions that they have in there. I'm not going to ask those. But I will ask you some of the ones that I did talk about, and I try to talk about stuff that's going to be really pertinent for if you're going to go into a career in construction. It's going to be terms that you're going to use and stuff that you're going to use all the time. So that's what we're trying to do here. Yeah, right?
Yes, sir, Bob. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. I'm going to go over I took notes on everything you and I talked about today, and we'll just touch on all that stuff and whip through the chapter.
Okay.
Hey, James, how many questions can we expect on the final?
I'm going to shoot for 100.
Okay.
And we're going to open it up, I think, for 2 days. So that'll give you plenty of time, and we will give you 4 hours. Normally I would give 3, but I'm going to open it up for 4 hours for the quiz, but almost all of you will finish in probably an hour or less, I would suspect. That's typical. When I do the tests in the classroom, most everybody finishes within an hour and a half, and then we have some people that are just slow test takers and they take the full 3 hours. So I'm going to give you 4 hours, and there'll be 100 questions, so it should be all good. Let's see, we have a couple questions here.
And so Jim and I, on our talk this morning, Jim figured he'd have that test up and running, because we'll go over, I'll do my part on Monday. Shit, I gotta do both those tests on Monday. That's all
I'm
right.
going to try to have my part done by Sunday night.
Okay.
So on Saturday, I probably will already have a draft of some of the questions for the final, and we can go through those on Saturday.
Well, I won't be around Saturday. Oh, you guys will go through them, absolutely. And then you and I can talk about what I'm gonna add, because last time I added 35 to get it to 100. And I'll try to focus a lot on our time together, on stuff that won't be book stuff, will be shade structure stuff and
Yeah, shade structure
hard
stuff.
thing,
It'd be
and some of the
awesome to
videos
get
I've
along
showed
with that.
them, we'll do that stuff. It'll be stuff that if you were there, if you were in the class, paying any kind of attention, or hopefully paying some kind of attention, you'll be familiar with what we're asking. You'll be able to go back and canvas and maybe find it if you need to. But one thing you will be able to do is you'll be able to go through Canvas on those weeks and see, where things are. If you want to go, I'll identify all my safety questions, but I'll tell you all about that. Jim doesn't need to know about that because he's not taking the test. But
Yeah, and I'll probably have some questions about how awesome I was doing the concrete for the shade structure. So
yeah, I think you should ask all kinds of questions, and whether or not your butt crack was visible or not. That's pretty damn important.
Normally it has to be. That's part of the requirements of finishing concrete. But I will ask about the different tools, like I did on the midterm. So
yeah, we'll have a fun test for you guys, and we'll have a fun review tonight, and maybe touch on some new stuff. I got some stuff I want to talk to you about. In the meantime, anything else for Jim? Ask questions, Jim. You got the floor.
no, I'll just see you guys on Saturday, and we'll do a review like you're doing tonight, and I will probably have a bunch of questions from the final to be able to ask you. So on Saturday, and that'll give you so if you show up on Saturday, you'll get a good preparation for my part of the final.
Yeah, showing up on Saturday would be a really good idea for everybody. And then just to let you all know, and now Jim to know as well, is next week, finals week, I'll be administering this final that we're talking about tonight and my 114 final from the class. I expect to be fully recovered from whatever's attacked me, and I'll be there in the classroom. If any of you want to show up, I'll project it on Zoom just to be there. So anybody wants to bounce any questions.
And I will be at the classroom on Saturday.
Yeah, you'll be there. You're meeting on Saturday, 8:30.
Yeah, we're meeting in person on Saturday.
Person to person, in person rather.
Unless I tell you otherwise, unless I get whatever Rodney has, I'll be good.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Jim? No, not one dang question. All right. Thank you, James.
They know everything. They've got it all.
Thank you, James Cunningham.
All right. I'll see you guys.
All right. See you, bud. Thanks for coming. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye, James.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Enjoy Costa
I'll see you
Rica.
guys Saturday.
Bye, James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Lucky dog. So that was nice. Stopped in. So you guys will all have a chance, but by Saturday, Jim will have crafted a fair amount of the test. You won't have the benefit of how many questions he leaves me to do, but I'm going to give you hopefully a bunch of information tonight that will allow you to be prepared, ready for whatever we throw at you as a final exam. So still no Alec and no Alexandria. Okay. Okay. It's great. I don't have to pull down any shades or any projector screens or anything. Just go right to share screen. Everybody's seeing my canvas, right? And here we are in week 13, which is interesting. I thought I went through the syllabus because Jim puts a schedule on the syllabus. Jim put this syllabus together. So, we followed it somewhat in some cases, and then we kind of deviated a bit. But here we are, week 13, May 4th, final exam. You guys all got your exam, right? Yeah, no. So that got missed. That got slightly missed. So we're not doing that, are we? No, we're not. We are doing this week 13 today. First thing we're going to do is a safety meeting on eye injuries and prevention. I'll start out. Bless somebody.
Bless it.
Eye injuries and prevention. Our eyes are one of our greatest assets. Boy, I had almost say our greatest. Can you imagine what it would be like not to see? They give us the ability to see the world around us. If we do not protect our eyes from injuries while at work, we could easily lose that ability. There are an estimated 2,000 eye injuries every single day on the job, according to the CDC. These incidents cost employers over $300 million per year, every year. It's important to eliminate or engineer out the hazards that could pose hazards. It's important to eliminate or engineer out the hazards that could pose hazards to our eyes at work. I wouldn't have used those two words together like that. Many hazards to our eyes on a work site cannot be fully eliminated, so proper eye protection is also critical. So Matthias, go ahead and read that for us, will you? Matthias, common hazards.
Common hazards like flying dust, flying debris. Hey, my thing is lagging so hard. I have like
Oh
no
yeah, well
Wi-Fi.
then don't bother. We'll just try to get your thing to keep up, and we'll get somebody else to read. How about
Wait, can you hear me?
wait, I can hear you. Yeah.
I can read it.
Who's it? Who is it?
You can hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
This is Matthias.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Matthias, read
All right.
on. Read on.
Common hazards, right?
Yes.
Common hazards that cause eye injuries on the job. Flying dust, flying debris, chemicals, blunt trauma to the eye, burns due to UV exposure, such as welder's flash. Best practices to avoid injuries to the eyes. Identify all the potential eye hazards in your work area and for your specific work tasks. To ensure there are proper safeguards in place to prevent an eye injury. If there is a safeguard missing, stop the work task and correct the problem.
Okay, let's let somebody
Eliminate or let.
let's let somebody else jump in. Daniel.
Eliminate or lessen the chance of getting something into your eye by avoiding being in the line of fire. One quick example is standing upwind of debris or dust blowing around the work area. Always wear approved safety glasses, face shield, or goggles when needed. The type of PPE needed will depend on the work task. 3 out of every 5 victims of eye injuries on the job were not wearing an eye protection. If there are welding activities going on, wear proper eye protection and ensure there is a protective barrier in place to protect other employees in the area from UV exposure.
All right, Lou, how about you? Lou, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. If you get something in your eye, do not rub or scratch it. Rubbing the eye can cause scratching of the cornea, resulting in injury. Find an eye wash station or saline bottle to rinse out the object. If you get a chemical in your eye, remove your contacts if there's any in, and begin to rinse your eyes out.
And the discussion points would be, what are some of the hazards we have on site that can injure your eyes? What can protect ourselves from these hazards, and what job task requires to wear a face shield on site? So let's do that. What are some of the hazards we have on site that can injure your eyes? Unmute yourself and tell me.
Dust.
Dust, definitely dust. Now that dust, let's qualify that. What kind of dust do you mean? You mean like the
Like
dust?
sawdust or
Okay, that's one kind of dust, and then
Right,
there's
dirt.
just the dust on the dirt, right?
Yeah, dry dirt.
Dust in your eyes is a definite hazard. What are the other hazards that can injure your eyes on site?
Like sharp objects.
Sharp object get in your eyes. Not as easy to get poked in the eye with a sharp object without being really not careful, or somebody not being careful.
Metal. like
Pneumatic tools.
you're
Possible.
grinding.
Pneumatic tools, virtually any tools where you're taking material off or cutting material, right? There's going to be sawdust, there's going to be chips, there's going to be maybe metal fragments, anything that can, nothing should be in your eyes, right? Anything, any foreign object, no matter how small it gets in your eyes, there's no place in your eyes. These fantastic, unbelievably crafted pieces of living tissue that allow us to see all the things in the world are pretty fragile, and yet in some cases they're pretty durable too. So what else can injure your eyes? It's on site and on job site. There's one thing that nobody's talked about yet.
Chemicals?
Yes, chemicals. Oh my God. Chemicals can splash. You can get droplets. There are vapors caused by chemicals that can injure your eyes. There's all kinds of stuff can injure your eyes, chemical wise, that can be on job sites. Would be normally on a job site. What else? Anything else? What about welding? What injures your eyes in welding? Can you watch a welder weld?
No, you cannot.
No,
Oh,
you
thanks.
cannot. Now, let's qualify that, because I'm pretty sure that you can watch Oxyacetylene. Can you watch Oxyacetylene?
Well, interesting.
Well, God damn it. Why don't they just answer my question?
Wait, go back up. It says it. Intro to Oxy Welding.
Wait, where are you reading it?
Yeah, right here. Intro to Oxy Welding YouTube. It just says intro. So
Yeah, well,
maybe-
does it say anything about whether you can look at it or not? No, it doesn't. So here's my point. You can't look at arc welding ever. I only said the oxyacetylene because I'm not sure if you can look at an oxyacetylene flame or not. Oxy, you're looking, let's talk oxyacetylene. Can you look at an oxy?
Maybe go to like damaged eyes. Oh,
Yeah, I don't think Oxy will do it, but arc welding is a different story. Do not ever look at an arc weld. You will damage your retina for, even if you look at it for like 10 or 15 seconds. you'll damage your retina. It's not something you ever want to look at. So always look away if you don't have properly tinted goggles for welding. Okay, that can injure your eyes pretty badly. You never even know it happens. So never look at arc welding. You know the difference, right? And somebody, if you don't know the difference, are there people out there that don't know the difference between arc welding and oxyacetylene welding? Does everybody know? I didn't think so. Come on. So then if everybody knows, Tyler, can you please explain the difference between oxyacetylene welding and arc welding?
I know arc welding. It's been years since I did any welding.
Okay, so just the little welding 101, oxyacetylene welding is the mixture of those two gases, oxygen and acetylene fired up. It's the oxygen in that acetylene, which is a very flammable gas, that by putting oxygen in it and at under pressure, you create much more heat and a focused heat. That's what, and you are super hot enough to melt metal, which is what welding's all about. That's oxyacetylene. It uses tanks, right, of gas. Oxygen is a gas, acetylene is a gas. Both under pressure, both mix, come out of the tip of your welder. Arc welding is something completely different altogether. That's a electrically charged welding rod that actually is the rod that melts and fills in, but when you're welding two metals, but it's the charge on it, the electrical charge on it, that creates the heat that actually welds and does the melting and the cutting and all that stuff. So there are two completely different things. Oxyacetylene is generated by gas with tanks. Arc welding is generated by an arc welder, which generates basically electricity. Did you want to ask me something?
I was going to ask you if you would introduce.
Oh, that sounds good, but give me a minute, okay?
Because it's 22.
Just give me a minute, please. Where the hell was I? Okay, we're talking about oxyacetylene, and what else was I talking about? Could you know what? Everybody just hold on for me 1 second.
Are you guys ready for the test?
Hell no.
No one's ever ready for one of Jim's tests.
100 questions, buckle up.
I was fully expecting him to say 150, 200 to 250.
Shit.
Yeah, right. I want to know who finishes it in an hour.
In an hour.
Yeah, the midterm almost took me like 3 hours. I don't know who's doing that shit in an hour.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. And I have almost no excuse for my absence. No, I do, but it wouldn't fly anyway. All right, where the hell were we? I was sharing a screen, wasn't I? Okay, so how can you protect yourselves from those hazards?
Wear proper eye protection.
Proper PPE, goggles is really it. And then some tinted if you're welding, you know, or if you're working outside, sunglasses are really good for your eyes because glare and working outside and all the glare off the stuff that we work around, you know, anything metallic. It can glare can cause eye fatigue, which can cause fatigue in you, which can cause you to get sloppy and cause you to have accidents and stuff like that. It's pretty obvious how to protect our eyes from hazards. And then what job tasks require to wear a face shield on site? Welding, right? Welding, I mean, with goggles, face shields, I think are really good for welding because they protect
Painting masks,
your whole face. What kind of mask?
like just like masks to cover your mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of masks. What kind of mask? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that means either, because covering your mouth doesn't really protect your eyes, does it? So,
I don't know, look at a respirator.
okay, a respirator is great, but it still doesn't protect you from eye injury.
I know it doesn't protect your eyes, but it's good.
Yeah, it depends. It is a good thing if you need to protect yourself from breathing stuff.
Never mind, it was off. It was off subject.
Okay, you're bad. I'll take it as that. So just it's common sense, right? Protect your eyes. Everybody takes them for granted. Everybody has them for the most part, but man, I don't know if any of you have ever scratched your cornea. I've scratched my cornea and it is painful as all get out.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I really did not like it at all. I'm starting to lose my vision. I have cataracts. Not really lose it much. I still have really good vision, but not like I used to have. And my eye doctor tells me I need to get these new lenses surgically done. And they're expensive, but supposedly you see perfectly and don't need glasses. So after you have the operation, so I'll probably have it. Start saving my pennies right now. Okay, so next up in week 13 is a review of chapters 8 through 12, 17, 18, 30 through 32, and door and window rating. So let's just go right to the meat of this thing, right here and now. Oh, I thought I had this right here. Where do I have that? Okay, here's where I got it. So you were using 12, right? 12th edition?
Well,
Correct?
some of us have 13.
Okay, okay. Jim, I wanted you to have 13. Jim in his syllabus started out as 12. So 13 works for 12. That's for sure. So just so all of you know, if you're making the corrections, right? I think it's pretty simply that in 12, what we're calling 30 in 12, which is electrical wiring, in 13, electrical wiring is 31. Yeah, 31. And so I think it's just one off pretty much everywhere. Yeah. So plumbing systems is 31 in 12, 32 in 13. HVAC is 32 and 12, and it's 33 and 13. So we're going to use 12 because that's what Jim's got in his syllabus. But if you got 13, you're golden. It's virtually the same thing, same illustrations, same everything. All right, clear. But you know, I want to jump right onto this thing. Nah, I'm going to wait. But actually, I already said it, so I want to jump right onto it. And that is, it was either Jose or Ariane. I think it was Ariane last week that gave me an aha moment, because I could not figure out, I kept complaining about being able to figure out what they meant on that darn shade structure thing, right? What they meant. And I'll just refresh your memory for a second. If I go to, dang, where is that? Where is that shade structure? Lou, help me out here. Did I put it in this class? I can't remember for the life of me, man.
Wasn't it in 110? I think you might have put it in this class too, though.
See, I think I might have too, actually. Plumbing. That's looking 110. Let's see, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. This is what we did in 110. Oh no, I now I remember. Now I'm remembering because the corrections were in this class. They were recent, so I put them up here. I just didn't find it when I was scrolling through. Safety and plumbing systems, client focused, annual checkups, and detail. Well, where the hell did they go? There we go.
Or did you put it in 114?
Oh, this is it right here.
Okay.
This is it right here. That, okay? Everybody remember that? Right? You remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, everybody remembers that. That these are the corrections that we got back, and I was so confused about what the heck do they mean by 8 total, 3 aside, and then I'm pretty sure it was you, Ariane, that pointed out. It might have been Jose, but I think it was Ariane. Which one was it?
It was me.
Me being Ariane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell who said me. Yeah, I thought it was you, and I just kudos to you, guy, because you really kind of opened my eyes, and it's very simple. So what I did to figure out, which is what I should have done in the first place, which is how I figure out virtually anything in construction, is I just make a big scale drawing of it. That's all I do. I make a big scale drawing of it. And that big scale drawing of it, and in this case, big is 1.5 inches equals 1 foot. The only bigger scale that I could have got, and my scale, other than, going into like, 1-to-1 or 1-to-1, is 1.5 inches equals 1 foot. The next biggest scale on architectural scale is 3 inches equals a foot, which is kind of a nice way to go, because then in 1/4 inch graph pad, one of these squares is actually 3 inches. So, but I did use 1.5 by 1 inch. It's a big scale, and I laid out a post. And as it turned out, the corner of our slab, a corner, because all the posts are in the corner, right? And they are 6 inches back approximately from each side, pretty close. And given an 18-inch base, poured concrete base around our 6x6 posts, 6x6 posts, take 6 inches out of 18, you're left with 12. That's 6 inches aside, which takes us that thing right out to the edge, right? Which will probably wind up being a okay detail, I guess. Not as good a detail as I would have liked, given the fact that we have eased the edge on that concrete right there. That's what I'm talking about. We'll probably wind up holding these guys in just enough to get away from that eased edge, right? That radius edge that we did on our concrete slab. But there it is right there. There is the 4 bars, 8 typical, 1 in each corner, and then 1 in between makes, every way you count them, it's 8. And that was just, as far as I'm concerned, Ariane, you will always stand out as someone that came up with a stroke of genius to just pull the wool from over my eyes and let me see. I once was blind, but now I see. And I could picture that and envision it, but until I really laid it out in a good size scale so I could see it and see, yeah. And then there's a cross-section view or an elevation view that shows the 2 lines of holes that are going to have steel in them. If you could see, this is going to go down into the concrete. I didn't show that, but then there's those ties they talked about, the number 3 ties, and those will be continuous all the way around. So I think we'll try to make these up as cages somehow. We'll put some thought into how to make these. I know you guys probably won't, but depending upon what classes you take again of mine or Jim's, you may very well be involved. And we'll put a lot of thought into these. And my plan is to make the cages either offsite or onsite, but prior to, and to make the forms in the shop. So that we go out there, we slap the forms together, we anchor them temporarily because they're gonna come off and break apart. I got a really good idea of how to do this, and it'll be good to get your feedback if you're part of my class. And then we'll go over there one day, and we should be able to make this all happen in a day, I think. Also, I got some news from where's my, I got some news from Rob Morales, actually from Mike, who got some news from Rob Morales. Rob Morales is our facilities guy. He's the guy that is point guy for this red tag thing. And he wanted to make sure that Mike knew to let me/us know that we couldn't do anything on the site, on the structure. Really? You needed to let us know we couldn't? Like, oh, now that you've sent us corrections, we think we can just jump on it and start doing it. So anyway, I'm clear that we can't do anything on it, but I'm also clear that stuff has to happen before we can do things on it. Not just those corrections, but my questions have got to be answered, which haven't been yet. So hopefully they will be soon enough. All right. So let's go right 8 through 12. We'll just briefly whip through those right away. And we can do that from, if I go to the dashboard to 12th edition. And we'll just go to the online textbook at 8. And it's about building layout. Here's the textbook. The learning objectives for that chapter were to explain the, can everybody read this? And is everybody,
Yeah.
is there anybody on a phone that is going to have trouble reading anything? Anybody there on a phone? No, so everybody's on a computer. That's really good news. And
Yeah, on my phone.
Who's it? Who said that?
Alex Dominguez.
Alex, you're on your phone?
Yeah, I'm still not home. Like,
All right, well, that's good. It's good. At least you're on your phone, but so I'll just remember you can't see the fine print. So I won't ask you to read anything or anything. But the learning objectives for this chapter were to explain the operation of a builder's level and a transit, the operation of a laser level system, demonstrate setup, leveling, layout angles, read the vernier scale, explain the procedure of laying out building lines, finding the grade level, and using a plumb line. Jim did a lab with you in the parking lot there. Yeah, you guys set up lines and did all kinds of fun things. I think you learned how to divine water that day too, didn't you? Wasn't that the day? Pretty sure.
Yes.
You all found water. It's a pretty interesting phenomenon, isn't it? So, you know, there's things like benchmarks, which was a kind of a controversial thing, builder's level, building line. Anything that Jim, any questions generated from this chapter are going to be based on the book. So you should be, if the answer doesn't come to mind, you should be able to go to the book and find it. Now, here's a trick for all of you. That won't be a trick to some of you because it'll be an obvious thing. But if you have a question, let's see if I can think of one. Well, let's just go and find a question. Okay, so what are building lines? Let's find another one. Let's find one like this. The builder's level consists of a telescope assembly that's mounted on, right? Builder's level, right? Let's say that's the question. Now you can go through back into the chapter and look for builder's level, which would be easy to do. The first thing I'm going to do, and you can't see me doing this, but you can now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the book. And I'm going to go to the back of the book. It's a thing called an index. I know you're all familiar with it. And I'm going to look for builder's level. And I found it. It's right there. It's on page 165. I'm going to go to 165. I don't have to look through anything. I just got to go to that index, find builder's level, which is the key word in that question, right? And then it's going to show me builder's level. It's going to tell me it's also called a dumpy level or an optical level. It's going to tell me all kinds of things about it. And it's only 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs. And it's going to answer that. The answer is going to be in there, right? So finding out where to look, use your book, go to the index, man. Go to the index. And if you don't find it in the index, then go to the chapter and just start combing it, right? Hopefully find the like vertical planes and lines, right? We did talk about building lines, right? Wasn't that one of the questions?
Yeah.
What is it? What are building lines? Didn't I just see? Yeah, vertical lines. Let's see, building lines. But anyway, you get my point. And I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to say this probably more than just now in my life, but I don't expect any of you to have all these answers. There's just a lot of questions, and there's a lot of, given it's a gym test, there's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of answers, and there's lots of ways to find answers. And they may not all be in your head, and some of them may be in your head, which is good. But the way I figure it, if you don't know the answer, or you're wondering about the answer, and you go and find that answer, if it's a book question or a question out of the book, if you go to the book and find that, or you go wherever and find it, I believe it's a way cool teaching moment for you and a learning experience, because you had to work to get it. So you actually you accomplished something. That's on you. That's for you, and you get the benefit from it, right? We don't get the benefit. You answer the question right that Jim and I put together. Do we get any benefit from you getting the question right? No, we get no benefit. You do, though. You don't only know you got it right, you get the right answer for the test, which is a benefit. But if you didn't know the answer beforehand and you went and found the answer, you got the benefit of actually learning something. So that's 8. Let's go on to 9. Checking grade. Oh, I like that. Vertical planes and lines, measuring angles. Who knows what Jim's going to come up with, boy, but he's going to, even though he says he's not going to try to trick you, you know he is, right? Jim, are you listening? Yeah, you're going to try to trick you. So, and by the way, if you like layout and you like laser levels and builders levels and transits and everything to do with this, you might consider a job in surveying. I mean, you know, I've been harping on this for a while, but the truth is, any job right now is a job that you could get a job at. Virtually any field, you could get a job. There's just that much need for people to man all of the jobs that we have to do all the things we want to do. And we're building at an unprecedented rate in the country, because there's so much money and people want to build. You know, you ask people what they want to spend their money on. People want to improve their living conditions. which means they want to add on to or remodel their houses or build new houses or buy new houses. It's the main thing, man, where people like spending money, and it's going to go on for a while. No matter what, it's going to go on for a while. So being in construction, the construction trades is a really good spot to be. And part of the construction trades would be surveying, which is the first thing you should do. By the way, I don't know that the book says anything about this or not, but one of the first things you want to do on a building site that's brand new to you and you're laying out foundations, whether it's a brand new house or an addition, is you want to call a surveyor and get your lot surveyed. Talk to your owner, tell them this is a necessary thing that you got to do. You want to survey, get a survey on your lot. You want to get monuments discovered, found, or recreated. Who knows? Who can answer this question? What's a monument? What's a survey monument? Okay, so a survey monument is they come in a variety of shapes and sizes, but they're generally about, the heads of them are about 3/8 to 1/2 inch, and they're inscribed, and they're driven into the salient places for a survey for properties. So the corners of the property. So, and they can be offset, because a lot of times you can't put them right on the corner of the property. They can be offset, 5 or 10 or whatever feet in any direction. But monuments are placed by surveyors that allow them to have a control point to survey or resurvey a particular property or tract or whatever. So if they don't find monuments, or at least one monument, because they need to find at least one monument. If they don't find one monument, then they've got to put together some numbers and decide where to start. If they can't find a monument, they got to create a monument. So you want to have your property surveyed at least. If you don't do a whole lot line survey, because maybe you don't need one, or maybe it's already evident, it's always a good idea to have a surveyor lay out where your property is. So in other words, you get a site plan, shows where your property is in the site plan, and you have a surveyor lay out that rectangle or dome or round or whatever the heck it is you're building, right? And then you can't be faulted. Then somebody can't come to you and go, yeah, you, like, here's a good one for you. It's not that good. But I built this fence in Burnham Wood. Well, as it turned out, I built it like, built it 1 3/4 inches onto this guy's property. 1 3/4 inches onto the lot next door. It was this big, huge fence, and it went around 3 sides of my owner's property. Sorry about this. I'll get this flat in a second. It went around 3 sides. 3 sides of my owner's. So this goes this way. Went around 3 sides of the owner's property, and then the short side was on this, neighbor property line, adjacent neighbor, and it's a lot in Burnham Wood that could never be built on. It wasn't big enough to be built on. So the guy owned a lot that could not be built on. And I did, I think it was either 26 or 46 feet of fence onto his property. And so I offered to buy it off. And he offered to sell it to me for something like $40,000. No, I declined. And so I had to move the fence. But I had to move the fence on my nickel 1 3/4 inches. I had to move it. I moved it over like 3 inches or something like that to make sure it stayed on my guy's side. But I could have saved myself all that trouble and hassle had I required a survey before I did it. And I was pretty young contractor at the time. Now I'm pretty sure there's no way I would do a lot line fence and not, especially in Burnham Wood, not have it surveyed. That was kind of a dumb move by me. But so do that survey. And if something interests you, you could make a career out of it.
I had a roommate, Scott Clayton, when I lived in West Valerio, and he worked for Penfield and Smith, which is one of the more established, maybe the oldest and most established survey company in Santa Barbara, and the Tri-Counties for that matter. And he did really well, made really good money. I had another friend who was a surveyor. His name is David Maxwell. He worked up in not Napomo, but Templeton. He worked up in Templeton, up there below Paso, between Tascadero and Paso. And he went all over the place and enjoyed the heck out of his job and did really well. And then this is an aside to the story. He owned a building up in Covelo, California, a bank building, an old bank, which he moved up to. And that's a whole other incredible story I won't tell you right now. But when he retired or when he left the company, I can't remember the name of the surveyors, he cashed in his 401k. And I think it was around $450,000 that he had as a 401. And he put every dime of it into gold, and he bought gold. Right? He bought gold, and he bought gold at the time, something like 500 and change an ounce. And at the time that Dave and I were talking, gold had gone past 1,300 an ounce. So not only did he, save 450,000 or have 450,000 as 401k, but he put it into gold, which is not an investment that most investment guys would tell you to get into, but he must have had an intuition about it. And he basically trebled his money. So he turned $450,000 into a $1,350,000. Not bad, huh? I want to do that. So, and then we go to foundations and frame. Wait, stop. Hang on one second, guys. So weird. My wife is leaving. She's supposed to feed me. So the learning objectives for this foundation and framing, and by the way, includes 9 through 13, which we didn't go into. We don't do much of that here. We do some, that's for sure. I've done some. Both book building and the piano house are all steel stud frame, but lots of learning objectives here, right? The excavation process, erecting and using forms for poured foundation walls, CMUs, how they're used, cinder block, we used to call them. Foundation insulating, which we don't do much of, but we do a lot of waterproofing. Laying up concrete block foundations, which we definitely rarely do around here. Ours are poured concrete. Design factors that apply to sidewalks, cold weather, how cold weather affects construction. Well, we don't have to worry about that much either, right? And concrete materials required for a specific area. So just whipping through that, laying out, preparing, laying out the building lines. Didn't I see that as a question of Jim's? After the society of buildings, locate and mark the lot lines. So I think is he calling lot lines and building lines as being synonymous? Yeah, property lot lines. Well, no, lot lines are the lot lines. Building lines. Okay, so lot lines are different. Lot lines are the property lines. And then you have the building lines, which is also kind of obvious. Building lines and grade levels. Yeah, we use batter boards. Did Jim explain batter boards to you? You guys set that up in the parking lot, right? Right? Yeah, you did. Okay, so there's your building line. So if you have a question about building lines, I wonder if that's on the index. Has anybody looked for it? Because I remember there was some controversy about that question, Lou. You remember that? One of Jim's questions.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of Jim's questions that is controversial.
So building lines, right? It's right here. It gives the page 182 through 183 and 163 through 164, and actually measuring tapes 164. So your index is a powerful tool. Your book is a powerful tool, but your book index is a very powerful tool. I think my wife, she was going to make me like a steak salad. But then I think she just ran off to go buy something. What is she doing? Okay, so foundation systems. Now we don't do foundations around here like this for the most part. I mean, these do happen where you have pilings and you have a pre-stressed slab sitting on that. What are they calling B? They're calling B a slab on grade foundation with piers. Wow. Okay. There's our raised floor foundation wall, which we do a lot of. I'm not sure what C is. What C? Pier and girder used in warmer climates. We don't use that. Okay. You might use a concrete pier and girder system for a deck. As a matter of fact, you more than likely would use that for a deck. And then you've got a grade beam foundation, which we do that around here. You will see grade beam foundations. Frost protected, not us, right? Heat flow, not really all that interested. Now, this is a good one though. These are your different types of footings. Keyed footing, keys into foundation wall, a stepped footing, which is you'll see a lot in any hillside lot, and then reinforced. These are just these aren't pad footings, but these are more like regular footings, although I don't see a footing like that too much around here, if anywhere. And we even though you see keys a lot in footings, we generally do monolithic pours and don't do keys. So that not a lot of this is super germane. So which also means the questions that Jim's going to pick out for you on the book or make questions from the book are going to be germane to our area. He's not gonna pull out stuff that is for back east and Midwest where they have frost. You have to deal with frost and all kinds of weird stuff, right? This is a pretty typical slab on grade with thickened edge footings. It's what I tried to do and would have done all along had we been putting walls. If those weren't just posts on the straight shade structure we did, I made a bigger footing for the posts. If they were going to be walls and there was going to be bearing along a plate line, then I would have done a thickened edge the whole way. Follow me? Yes, good. And you guys have all seen, as a matter of fact, that was a pretty good example of a slab on grade, and the footings were still exposed via Bendita that day we went there. And I may ask you, I may come up with a question for via Vendita. I know you weren't there, some of you weren't there, and there was no recording of it, so you're going to be SOL about it. You'll have to be guessing, I guess. And this is what happens when you can't make things. Then you can't really find out the answer all that well. So I'll try not to make it too hard, so the people that weren't there have a good shot at guessing it or maybe knowing the answer. But can't even think of something, but a couple things come to mind just now. Something about, I doubt I'll ask you about that slab, but I'll probably ask you something about maybe those pocket walls or something about that framing and the guest house. Maybe, maybe not. So these are all, we're all in foundations and framing and layout. Ways to do stepped foundation, strapping, wall forms, erecting wall forms. This is actually pretty good for CIP walls. This is a pretty good example of how CIP walls are done, and we do them pretty much like this, pretty dang close enough to this. The way we do a CIP wall. And then there are panel forms, which is what this guy is right here. I don't know if Jim's got anything about that or about ties. That's pretty esoteric. You'd kind of expect your concrete guy to know. But because we're giving you so much information about construction and about so many of the sub trades, right, that you probably won't need to know all that or won't be using all that information. But again, I'll tell you this, and I've told you this before, the more you know about every trade, the better contractor you're going to be. the more you can vet contracts and go through them and know if they've included the right things, or know if you're looking at good work or substandard work. You know, a lot of times if you're not aware of what you should be seeing, you don't know whether you're seeing somebody doing a good job or a bad job. Curved wall forms, that's a whole other ballgame. Foundation keys, interesting, okay. Forming a wall pocket, which we do have, which you will see that in for midspan girders in raised foundation walls. You'll come across those. I've come across more than one of those. Here we get into concrete and about curing concrete, improper amount of water in the mix. Concrete's pretty interesting stuff, man. There's whole, you can do whole classes and then some on concrete. Here's some sonotubes used as forms. These are forms. You can buy these as sonotubes and use them as forms. These are great. They make great pad forms, pier forms for single point of load point. They make really good forms. These tubes you can buy. Slump testing is a whole other thing that concrete guys do. It's got a slump. It's a certain number. You might have your slab inspected like that. So here's how you make a slump test. Concrete curing methods, advantages, disadvantages. Okay. Clear resin base can be painted, but it's more expensive. Here's some recommended style. And what is this anyway? What was that from? Powder, cement. I don't even know what that's about. 6 by 6. Oh, I see. So this would be. Is this the rebar? 6, 6, 10. Oh yeah, 6, 6, 10, 10. Okay. So who knows what 6, 6, 10, 10 is?
That's for finding your 90 degree.
No, that's a really good guess though, Frank, actually. So it's something that you don't hear about, and you guys maybe haven't heard about it, but what these are, all of these are recommendations for concrete reinforcing. Now, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Concrete is super high in compressive strength and super low in tensile strength. That is in the strength that would keep it from cracking if you extended it out linearly. That's why you put steel in it. Steel gives concrete tensile strength. It doesn't do virtually anything to its compressive strength, but it gives it helps it with its tensile strength. It gives it tensile strength. And one way to reinforce concrete besides rebar, right? We know about rebar. And we know that number 3 rebar is 3/8 and number 7 rebar is 7/8, et cetera, right? That every number is an eighth. But 6, 6, 10, 10, 6, 6, 8, 8, that's a galvanized welded steel wire. So when you talk about 6, 6, 10, 10, it's 6 by 6, 6-inch squares, and it's 10 gauge wire over 10 gauge wire. 6, 6, 8, 8 is 6-inch squares using welded and welded at every every crossover to make the joint, number 8 wire in one direction, number 8 wire in the other direction. And then you get as thick as 4 by 4, which is smaller squares, and thicker wire in 4 by 4, 6, 6, 4, 4. That's pretty big wire. Now that's for a porch floor, 6-inch thick slab. Right. So we rarely use 6, 6, 10, 10 anymore. And the truth is, I didn't even know there were things. I didn't even know that there were such an animal as 6, 6, 8, 8, much less 4, 4, 4, 4, 4 by 4, 4, 4. But those are all welded steel wires that are used for concrete reinforcing, which you probably won't use around here, but you'll be familiar with it if it's ever called out, right? If it's called out, basically you want to do the call out. There's different mixtures to concrete. You know, if you remember that concrete, well, you didn't because you weren't involved in that. That was the class before, but or maybe you were in 110, because a lot of you were in 110. Most of you were in 110. That called for a pretty typical 5-sack mix. So that's 5 sacks of cement per yard. And you can have more or less, but you can't have less. No, I take it back. I don't think you can have less than 5. So a 6-sack mix would go off, have more PSI, go off faster. So you did do, okay. Okay. Ordering concrete, yeah, it's ordered by the yard. Jim will have a question for you on concrete, he's gonna have a question. There'll be a question in there on calculating roofing squares. He'll make it relatively easy on you. And he's gonna also have at least one question on calculating concrete by the yard. Placing it, there's a whole bunch of stuff on placing it here. We could write books about placing concrete, but we're not going to. We've been at it for a while here, guys. I'm gonna try to pick up the pace. I am gonna pick up the pace. But before I pick up the pace completely, I'm gonna give everybody a chance to take a really nice long break. So take a break and come back bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, have something to eat, have something to drink. I have 7:22 on my computer. Let's go for 13 minutes to 7:35. So, right, be back here at 7:35. Now we'll see you all back here.
Thank you.
All right, see you then.
Alrighty.
Somebody remind me to restart up. I'm gonna pause the recording, okay? That's good. I don't think I'd know how. Okay, let's get back to it. Oh, God. Let's take a look. Where are we at? Let's just, okay, so footings, you know, this is a good thing. Making a burrito with perforated drain pipe. This is a French drain. This is the way, it's the ideal way to do drainage in the footing stage and your excavation in the stage prior to backfilling. This is the way to get water away from the bottom of your footings. It's a good thing. Wall systems, foundation systems, placing the concrete. This gets fairly technical, but suffice to say, oh, this is good. The slab on beam, or slab on grade, rather. Grade beam. All good stuff, lots of information. I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of questions on this, but again, whatever questions you do have, the Jim pulls from the book, you should know they're from the book, and then you should know where to go and find them. Where's the first place you're going to look?
The index.
Index.
The index.
Identify a keyword, word or words, and go to the index, man. Carpenter ants. Well, we don't really have to worry about that, do we? I don't think we got them around here. At least I haven't never heard of us having them around here. So I'm not sure why they're calling this guy a cement mason. I don't know, man. What do you think? He could just as easily be called a sand, water, or aggregate mason, as far as I'm concerned. Why not call him an aggregate mason? Same thing. So if you're interested in concrete work, that's actually masons don't do concrete. I take it back. A mason will do concrete and probably can do concrete, but generally when we think of masonry guys are building walls, block walls. They're doing stone, building walls out of rocks and, cut and fit, random ashlar pattern, veneered walls for masons. Tile work is considered in the masonry trade. Concrete work is a specialty trade that basically concrete guys, people that do concrete specialize in concrete, and they specialize in vertical concrete, vertically placed concrete, as well as horizontally placed concrete. But normally, most of your concrete is going to be horizontally placed in the form of footings or slabs. And walls today in concrete, CIP or cast in place, PIP, poured in place walls are definitely happening, but they're not as prevalent as flat work. And by the way, what does flat work not need? Anybody? Flat work doesn't need a permit. Did you know that? Flat work doesn't need a permit. Yeah, how about that? Like a sidewalk in your house, right? At your house, a walkway. Technically, even your driveway is flat work. There's a good questions in here. Which of the following methods cannot be used to determine a wall is plumb? Which one is it? I think the transit's the only one that can't be used. But anyway, check out the review questions and make sure that if you can't answer them, that you can at least find the answer, because Jim may pull them right out of there. He may be pulling them out because he has now access to the to this as well, which is with the instructor's resources. So we have questions we can pull in a Canvas format right out of the book, right from their exams and right from these very same review questions. But what do you know about these review questions? What do you know? You know that every even one is answered in the back of the book, right? Did you all know that?
I did
Yes.
not know.
I did not.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't have told you. But if you're doing the review questions, go to the back of the book. Oh, you know what? I take it back. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of my calculating and measuring class. So that's not true in here so much. In calculating and measuring, in the back of the book, and it was a Goodhart and Wilcox published book, was the answer to all the review questions, but only the even ones, not the odd. But there is a pretty good, besides the index in our book, there's also a pretty darn good glossary, right? So if you were to say you didn't find what you wanted in building lines, right? And so in the index or the building lines you saw didn't lead you to the place you wanted to go. So let's go to the glossary and go to building line, a line marking where the wall of a structure will be located. So this glossary is pretty dang handy too. At the back of that book, there's a lot of information in that book, more information than I could ever hold, I think. Okay, what is this? Power Tool Institute? Huh, interesting. Okay, I don't even know what that's about. So then we get into, we're at floor framing, which is a pretty critical part of framing. Learning objectives would be to explain the difference between platform, balloon, and post and beam. You all know that, right? You all know what those differences are. Those are pretty basic differences. Platform and balloon. Platform, we stack walls, build one wall at a time and stack up. Balloon, try to balloon up and build long studs, long, tall walls that maybe 2-story walls, even 3-story walls are balloon framed. Most gable end walls are balloon framed, so you don't have a hinge point. If I need to explain that, I have a whiteboard. Somebody just tell me at some point and I'll draw it up for you. How to lay out, install sills, calculate the load of girders too, and beams. Describe materials used for subflooring. Types of framing: Western framing, platform, balloon framing. I just explained those a little bit. This is platform framing. What you don't have that you see here are lead-in braces. We don't have those anymore. We now use straps. Use metal straps, metal strapping, and plus we sheet all exterior walls now in 1/2 inch material. Some of them are sheared, it's called out a shear wall, so they get that half-inch sheeting and they get nailing. And nailing's pretty important. The nailing schedule, it's going to be done by an engineer. It's going to be on the structural part of the plans, and it's going to tell you what the distance between the nails is in FN and EN. Can somebody please tell me what FN and EN mean in the context of shear nailing? Alec,
Edge
can you?
nailing and finish nailing.
No, but it's edge nailing and field nailing. Right? Follow me? So the edge of the sheet is X, 6 inch, even 4 inch. And then the field nailing, everything that isn't the edge of the plywood sheet, will be another number. Could be the same number, but typically it's less, not as tight a spacing. We don't do, this is how we used to do it. We used to cut and let in a diagonal brace, and that would shear the wall. But because we have shear walls now, they're not all sheared, but we do sheet houses. We're not doing just open stud walls and putting the stucco or siding or something on it. We're sheeting them first. We're sheeting them for a couple of reasons, and I won't go into them now, but you won't see this. You will see metal straps providing that shear where the engineers say they maybe need some extra shear strength, but typically your plywood is doing all that. These are good drawings. I like these drawings. So good illustrations of what's going on. There's a nice beam pocket or girder pocket in this case. This is another great picture right here. Great. You're not going to see that much, if any, around here. C, certainly B, and more than likely you're going to see A. I really like A because it captures the edge of the plywood sheeting. They have 3/4 composition sheeting, which may be the finish on this thing, but typically your sheathing is going to be a 1/2 inch CDX or 1/2 inch OSB on your buildings now. Balloon framing, ribbon, I'm not going to go into that. It gets too involved. Anyway, there's a typical example of a balloon frame wall and how a ribbon is done to support the joists. Ceiling joists and ceiling joists for the ceiling below first floor ceiling, and which also are the floor joists for the second floor above. How to build up girders, great. Okay, here's some span tables. So I wonder what 2x8. Okay. So 4 2x8s nailed together will span 9 feet if the building width is 20. Huh, okay. Interesting span tables. But again, you can use these span tables. If you understand them, you can use them. And I'm not going to take the time to explain them to you, but generally, I just ask an architect or an engineer if I'm on the job. If it's not clear and called out. And if it's something I'm trying to dream up, then I will go and find span tables, or I'll just Google span tables and try to figure it out myself. Here's structural steel shapes. This is the one you're going to be most familiar with, is a standard I channel, or I beam rather. Here's some spans for W beams, W beams with I beams, W beams. Joists spanning over girders. Using anchor bolts, layout. That's a good way to lay out. Lay it up and put it against your anchor bolts, which is why it's good to use templates for your anchor bolts, so they're all set where they're supposed to be, all set in a line and not staggered. Joyce, this gets pretty involved. No, I'm not gonna spend any time on it. We're just gonna whip. Take a look. You guys see anything that you want clarification on, or it goes, oh yeah, what about that? Just unmute and pipe in, or have your dog do it. I don't care. You choose. Framed openings, bridging. No, we don't bridge anymore. We used to do bridging, but we don't do bridging anymore. Special framing problems. Now there's how we do bridging if it needs bridging right now. I'm gonna have to move it along here. Move it along. Plywood sheeting, required joist centers. Remember, Jim's gonna have you figure some square foot things, right? Some square foot problems. Come up with how many sheets to do a roof, maybe to do a floor, who knows? Could happen. Here's some review questions. In residential construction, the deflection of the first floor joists under normal live loads should not exceed something that's banned. So if you don't know that answer, and I don't, I'd have to go back and find it in there. And I might start in the index with floor joists. And then I might go to glossary, look at floor joists, and I might try to find deflection. I will look in those places first before I start combing the book to find an answer. And this is a good idea. Obtain a set of architectural plans for a house with a conventional basement. Okay, well, we don't have those. But start by tracing the foundation wall supports from the basement. Okay, we don't have basements, but having a set of plans to look at is a good thing for you guys coming up and starting to understand the construction trades and all the stuff it takes to do the construction trades. Having a set of plans to look at is really a good idea. All right, wall and ceiling framing. This is the one that everybody likes, is wall framing and ceiling framing. This is a really good illustration. It tells you the main parts of wall framing, almost everything you need to know, like studs, top plate, of which there are how many?
2.
Yes. No, you can see them right there, 2 top plates, and you can see why top plate allows that. Allows your intersecting walls to bridge top. The second top plate goes over the top and ties into the walls they are tying into. But header, cripple studs above, cripple studs below, or jack studs or sill studs, rough sill, trimmers or jacks and any opening, right? King stud goes all the way. Trimmers supports the header. King stud goes plate to plate. RO framing for an intersection is usually a U channel. We use a U channel, right? That was a well missed question. Pretty standard stuff. Corners. I had a framing handout. I had a handout for framing corners. I'll try to find it and just put it up for you guys if I can find it at some point, because it's really a good thing to have. It tells you about the green corner and the 3 or 4 different corners. It talks about how to make corners. How to make girders and headers with spacers. Don't just buy them. Buy 4x or 6x or whatever you need to do, or a parallam. Don't spend the time making a header unless you just got a bunch of scrap and nothing but time. Then do it. Here's your allowable header span. So if your header is supporting a roof and a ceiling, so like right here, this is going to be a 1-story. That's I think, yeah, that looks like the roof trusses. Yeah, those look like the roof trusses. So any header in that wall is going to be supporting the roof and the ceiling. It's not going to be supporting roof, ceiling, and 1 clear span floor, or no, 2 span. It's not going to be doing that. Single story going to be supporting that. So you could read these guys. So again, this is making up your header. out of 3 2x8s, those are your spans, but you're not gonna do that. You're gonna buy them. You really should buy them. Double top plate. So you can see here that their header was high enough that rather than cripple up with little tiny blocks, they just added a continuous. Basically, looks like they got, unless I'm seeing something. Wait. Yeah, it looks like 3 up there, doesn't it? Yeah, it looks like 3 to me. Stud layout, which is pretty simple. Story poles. I don't know if Jim went over story poles for you, but story poles are great where you lay out things on a pole and you can lay them out horizontal or for vertical indexes, and you can hold them up and make sure that you're doing the right thing. And you can work out your layout on a story pole and then just double check your walls and the things you build based on your story pole that they actually are working out in the real world, because you've got a story pole that you've made work out. Follow me? Story pole, if you need to, especially your story poles are really good in vertical situations where you show this is where the plate, this is where this rough sill, this is where this header occurs, this is where this occurs, this is where this occurs. And you can work that all out in actual length, right? An actual scale and full scale. And then it's all worked out. You've worked out all the bugs and the problems, and then you build the walls. And as you build them, you can hold this thing up and make sure that you did it right. Story pole. Tell us the story. Well, sheathing. You guys have seen enough about framing, partitions, tub framing. By the way, what they don't show, and maybe they will go on to show, but this needs to be solid blocked, at least a 2x6, if not a 2x12, in between each stud, right? So that they can waterproof the wall, the tile or whatever they're doing, right? And maybe they just haven't gotten to it yet. Can you hear that? Can you hear my cuckoo clock? So cool.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome.
I love it. It just cuckooed 8 times and now it's playing a song for us. See, this is what we do now. We do these straps, metal strap bracing. We don't do lead in 1x4 anymore. We do metal strap bracing. This is curved in. This is a different kind of strap, which looks pretty effective. But you know what? You're gonna have that stuff called out. Now this has got a hurricane type strap on every stud to plate. And that's not something I'm familiar with ever seeing, so I'm not sure where that is, but obviously that was called out. And maybe it's a multi-level place. Maybe that's it. Oh, this is kind of cool. Special framing, bay pop out. Those are really fun to do, and do a really cool little shed with a hip roof on it. I like it. Multi-story ceiling framing. Now you get a ceiling framing, which is also fairly esoteric. I don't know how much, if any, he's going to ask you about this. I will be asking you virtually nothing about this, but at least you're familiar with it and what it is, right? So these are SIPS panels, which my friend Peter Kornbluth built his house out of, 6-inch SIPS panels, which were pretty cool. And they did not have the plywood either side. His panels had a foam core like this, 6-inch foam core, and on both sides was, believe it or not, 6/6-10-10 welded steel wire. And that wire was the basis, or basically the lath, for the gunite that was shot on both sides. About 1 inch to 1.5 inches of plaster or gunite, which actually watered down cement, concrete, not cement. Watered down concrete. Oh my God, I actually slipped. Estimating materials. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Estimate materials. Add 10% for waste. That's right in the book, right? Right. 10% for waste. That's what the book recommends. 10%. Sometimes I do more. Installing house wrap, which is de rigueur these days. How to estimate studs. How do I estimate studs, you guys? 1 per foot. Once you take off the lineal foot of plates, then you can take that lineal foot times 3 for your plates. Actually, you do it times 1 for your bottom plate, which it should be pressure treated, PTMS, and then times 2 for your 2 top plates, and then take that times 1, your lineal feet, for how many studs? A foot a stud, right? Every foot a stud. Now, how is that possible to do that as an estimate when your studs are 16 inches on center? It's possible because we give ourselves a little more to take into account multiple studs for corners, multiple studs to receive partitions, and our blocking. And that should take care of that. Estimating sheathing, framing carpenter is something you may want to do. A third of all carpenters are self-employed. Okay. And here's some review questions for you. Let's see what we got here. Anything good? Immediately after a wall section is up, secure it with, I'd have to look, but I think a brace. I think a two by brace. Prefabricated bay windows are an example of, I think it's specialty framing, but again, if those are the questions from the book on your test, you just go to the index and or the glossary, try to take yourself to the place in the book specifically where you can find the answer, or just start combing the book, looking for your, but identify key words, right? So a strong back is needed for, what's keyword? What's keyword? It's not need, right? Okay. Well, what's this? Okay, hey, Alexandria, did you make it? Did I hear your voice? No? All right. Okay, so roof framing. All I think Jim is going to do about roof framing is he's going to ask you to do a takeoff for roofing squares. The square footage of a roof, and probably translate it to roofing squares, or maybe 4x8 sheets of sheeting. But you know, in this chapter, it's a pretty involved chapter, and I'm not going to read through all that stuff. It'll take me till the end of the class just to read through that. Okay, so that's the kinds of roofs, right? There was something about a kind of roof in that last one. And also look back at your test. If you can. Does the Canvas let you look back at your midterm? Will Canvas let you go to your midterm, you guys?
I'm
It
not
will.
sure.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
pretty sure it will. So just, you might want to review your midterm, because there will be, I am sure there will be some duplicated questions, or at least in the same vein. Okay, layout principles. Jim is gonna, he did tell me that he would probably have a question about the using a framing square in determining rafter length. So be prepared, that may come up, and be prepared to find it, you know. It's not that tough, like right here, right? This really pretty much talks about slope and pitch, and it should, yeah, and it should get into you're laying out for bird's mouth and hopefully figuring, yeah, no, those are rafter sizes, laying out step. Okay, so getting out, and this thing here, you might want to just give that a little review if you're going to be reviewing stuff, right? Yeah, using the rafter table. I just love that rafter table. It's just so killer. I'm not going to take the time to explain that to you. Hopefully you remembered it, or you'll teach yourself again. All right, let's just zip right on through to what did I say? I said, okay, we went 8 through 12, roof framing, and then I think it was 16 now. So windows and exterior doors. I think Jim talked to you about the rating of windows and U value and all that stuff, right? I think he told me he told me he spent some time on that. So you may want to just U factor again. Go to I'm gonna go to the glossary. It'll tell me about U factor, but I think instead I'll go to the, yeah, 205 and 407 in the book. So what page is this? Where are the page numbers on this damn thing? Oh, 401. So it's on 405. Okay, just saw a page number. No, I can't see one page number. But anyway, there's types of windows again, parts of a window. And I think, I don't know where the, I want to know where the U factor is. Okay, so it's right here, right? Talks about R value on this page. I think this is page 405. Talks about R value, but talks about the U factor. It's a reciprocal of the R value, so blah, blah, blah. It's complicated, but not too complicated once you read it a couple of times. But you may have a question about that because Jim said he spent a fair amount of time on that. And then oh, come on. All right. So he's going to touch upon drywall, insulation. We are going to touch on drywall, insulation, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical. That window installation video he showed you. I showed you a video of installing a flanged window pre-house wrap, and Jim showed you a video the week before of installation of a flanged window post-Tyvek after the house has been wrapped. So either way is germane, either way works, either way is a very efficient way to weather strip and set windows, both good ways. It depends on timing of your job, what you choose, how you choose it. So exterior wall finish, I may be asking you some questions about drywall that I think were covered in the videos I showed you. Drywall is fairly basic, but it's, here's your, oh, that's exterior wall finish. It's interior wall finish, not exterior wall finish. Dave James didn't say a whole lot about insulation. He said more about his company, but we'll be talking to you a little bit about insulation. And I think I remember James telling me that he showed you a video of a guy, Owens Corning video of a guy installing insulation wrong. You know, with it tucked inside the stud. Remember that these days per code, that flange or flap on the insulation bats has to go on the outside of the stud and be stapled. Remember that? He might just ask you about that. So there's some insulation questions. Oh my gosh. Heat pose, I'd have to look all those up myself. Look them all up. All right, what's happening? Come on, come back. Where'd you go? Where is the interior? Where's interior walls? Okay, here we go. Huh. I swear I saw an interior walls where the drywall is. I just missed it somehow. Painting, finishing, and decorating, no. Cabinetry, no. Doors and interior trim. Oh, this must be, oh, weird. Oh yeah. They don't have the online, oh yeah. Okay, stair construction, finished flooring, installing drywall. Okay, so here it is. I must have just somehow missed it completely. Interior wall and ceiling finish. I thought Rob Thayer's video was pretty complete about drywall in terms of, you know, how it's hung and some of the special tricks and some of the things to know about, and especially mudding and taping, etc. But in this chapter, you learn about Double layer pre-decorated wall border applied, okay. How to cut, nail it, and glue it. Wall and ceiling covering materials, plastering methods, plaster grounds. Who knows what a plaster ground is? Nobody?
It's the wood that they insert in a plaster wall to help them achieve plumb.
That's how they define it?
Well, that's how I define it.
Ah.
I mean, it helps them like screed it as they're to make it all level and even.
That would be a screed mark, but a plaster ground is something different. And I could break out this whiteboard, but I've done this, I've done so well without it. So let's just look at, let me look at something here.
It's in the book.
Yeah, page 549 on the book, in the book is where it is. And without, because those pages don't show up too good, I'm just gonna look it up here, 549. I know how I define a plaster ground. Let's see how the book defines a plaster ground. Plaster grounds are usually wood strips as thick as the plaster base and plaster. For total of 7/8, the ground is solid for the plaster, use them as a gauge for thickness of the plaster. So yeah, they set them up as a gauge to screed to. So that was very good, right? That was actually a very good explanation. The way I explain plaster grounds is a kind of a different plaster ground, and that is to have your plaster ground to something like your window, right? So you'd set up something for the plaster to ground to. Well, in this case, you might screed to it. Actually, you would screed to it. You'd ground to it. It would eventually be removed, and then you'd add something in its place. So the grounds go in prior to plaster, so the plaster can come to that ground. So it establishes the thickness. If it's going to be 7/8 of an inch of plaster, then that's what you put your grounds up at. But typically, I talk about grounding the plaster. And grounding the plaster would be like this. Let's so I'm gonna hold this up to you, but if you had a window and you're gonna plaster on the inside to it, you'd put up a ground. In this case, it could be the trim, piece of wood, 7/8. So if this is the jam, you install a ground 7/8 out or as thick as you want your plaster to be, and then you plaster grounds to it. And then if you were going to pull this off and put something else, you wouldn't put a ground on it. But typically, if this is going to stay, right, you cut some kind of a key in it. You cut that away. Oh, did I do it on the right side? I did it on the wrong side. You put the key here so that your plaster could ground or tie into it and actually ground and be anchored better to it. And so if you pull out the jams in my house, they're going to look like this. The face is going to be like this. Is a down view, right? Face is going to be like that. And then the face that's on the jam. And then the face that's out in the wall, you're going to see this much, right? And then this much here, and then plaster. That's what you see in my house. But if you could see into the plaster of the wall, this being the plaster itself, this being the jam goes like this. This is the ground right here. So the plaster grounds to here. It's meant to be slightly proud because this shows on the jam, right? The doors in here, swings out like that. But this is the ground cut into the back of the jam that grounds the plaster, gives the plaster something to actually, and actually the ground's probably more like that, actually, closer to the surface of it. So it gives the plaster something tie into, and key to the jam so it doesn't separate, so you don't get any separation here, and the plaster doesn't. So if you just stop the plaster here, right, and not tied it into the jam, because remember, plaster isn't on a board. Plaster is, this is all material. The plaster might, when you slam the door several thousand times, you might bust a piece of plaster off, which would not be a good idea, right? Bad idea. Oh, thanks, honey. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you. All right, drywall. I thought Rob Thayer was pretty thorough. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love talking to guys that really know their trade and just getting a sense of, well, them, but what they know about their trade. I love it. This is pretty interesting. Magnetic stud finder. They got as a drywall tool. Okay. I'll buy that. The stud finders are great. I like my magnet. I don't know if you guys have ever, ever find studs, right? But I have a stud finder that looks a lot like that, like my lipstick case, which is actually a toothpick holder. It's a lot like this, but it's chrome, but it's a big magnet, and off the end of it, it has, like those things that snap together that hold rings of things on it. They're little balls that are joined together and then they snap together. I forget what those are called, but it's got that hanging off the end of it, and it is 16 inches from the end of this to the end of that. So if you hold that out, the end of the magnet and the end of the chain is 16 inches, which is what? Stud centers, right? Stud centers. So you dangle this thing and move it along a wall, dangling this magnet, right? Until it finds a screw or a nail. The screw, in our case, a screw is ferrous, and so the magnet finds it, and the magnet holds on to it, and then you just go like this, make a mark, right? Because it helps you lay out 16 centers. I love that tool. I got it somewhere, but the electronic stud finders are pretty cool too. I like those also a lot when they work, but finding studs is pretty important. You want nailing, and if you don't get nailing, all kinds of not good things can happen. And you can get nail pops. Nail pops are bad in drywall, but I love the edges, showing the long edge, tapered edge. Then you've got that square edge, which is your short edge, where on your butts. And I love the way he talked about feathering that out longer, how to deal with the two different ways to deal with those joints, with your long bevel to bevel edges, and then your butted edges. This is pretty much it. That's a fulcrum type lifter, right? You drop the drywall on there and step on that, and it push it up tight to the next sheet. You typically hang drywall with the top sheet first. If you're hanging horizontally, which we also typically do, hang the top sheet first, then the bottom sheet goes onto the floor and then is jammed up with something just like that, up tight to the first sheet that went up the lid. And ceilings are always hung first. Always hung first, by the way. Sandpaper's good to have a drywall tape reel, but most drywallers that like to hang, and tapers like to tape. So there's not a whole lot more I would tell you about hanging drywall. Does anyone have any questions about this chapter, or about drywall, or about where you can get a pair of these really cool stilts?
How long does it take you to learn how to walk on stilts?
Yeah, that's a good question. I bet it's not that tough. I've been on jobs with these guys on stilts. It's cool, man. It's a pretty cool way to go. And as you can see, or as you can guess, it's got to beat the heck out of moving a scaffolding around, or moving a ladder around, or climbing up and down off of anything. You can just walk around and just be Mr. Giganto, Mr. Giant. It beats doing it on a pogo stick too. Yeah, and corner bead is huge. So drywallers, just remember that around here, especially around here, meaning Santa Barbara and its environs, drywallers don't just hang drywall now. They trim out openings. And they trim out, I would say probably fully half of the places that we do are bullnosed. And bullnose, the drywallers do the trim. So all that casing that I've been talking about in my other class, and Craftsman style casing and miter casing, etc., that's all out the window when you have a bullnosed corner, because your jam is set flush with the framing. It's set prior to drywall, so the drywallers can bullnose to it, so they can trim it out with their bullnose as they hang the drywall. And if anybody is confused about that, I'll be happy to draw it one more time. And also something that I wasn't doing as a matter of course, but since I did that Mangone job, I am definitely doing it as a matter of course, and that is curfing the jams. Now, I know some of you are going, what in the hell is he talking about? Curfing the jams. I know you are. I know you are. Go ahead, cop to it. What the hell is he talking about? So what I mean by curfing the jams is that when you have a drywall condition now, you have a drywall condition. I'm going to draw a jam here. A jam. And it's going to be bullnose, so it's flush. It's flush with the trimmer. Jam, trimmer. And then it gets a bullnose. It trims out with a bullnose corner that tapes and sits on the drywall. So this is the drywall. That's a metal corner. And that's the kerf right there. So you decide how much reveal you want, right? This is the face of the jam. How much reveal you want. In the case, I like it, probably 3/16, and maybe even a quarter. So sometimes, and a lot of the times, right about in the middle of that jam, we have a 16th inch kerf done about 3/16 of an inch in, so that this bullnose, which is a metal beadex corner, actually tucks into that kerf, really grounds it. And because this gets paint and texture drywall texture comes right to here, and then usually stops in like feathers, and then this gets painted out, paints the metal out. But it appears that the drywall just bullnoses and dies into the jam. It's a good look. It frames the door very subtly, small. It's done by the drywallers. They don't usually get a premium for it, but your owners, or you, if you're the contractor, you're not paying for all that casing, and casing can be quite expensive. Quite expensive. All right, so this is something, I don't know if any of you or Jim talked about any of this, but things like Durock and Hardy board, cementous board are used in wet conditions a lot. So you might, and they're used exteriorly too, like a Hardy board, Hardy siding, like a board and bat and Hardy, you might use 4x8 sheets, but it's made out of concrete and fiberglass and other things, glue and things like that. You can cut it with a skill saw with a special blade, with a masonry type blade, but and they are screwed. They're you can't really nail them, but they don't burn, and they don't get soggy when you put water on them. Okay, and this guy's using Hardy board or Durock in this case. Looks like maybe in a tub shower, right? He's putting it on the wall. He's added his thin set, and then he's put his tile on, right? Everybody follow that? Well, follow this. Don't ever do it that way. Why am I saying that? Because it's the cheap ass way to do it. Now you might ask yourself, what's an ass way of doing anything? Well, that's the ass way of doing it. So if you, unless you just don't have any money and it's just down and dirty and it's just got to be done dirt cheap, then yeah, fine, go ahead. Use Hardy on your shower walls. But if you want a decent tile job, float your tile. Tile is meant to be floated. That means it's lathed and it's got a mortar bed that is screeded dead plumb by the tile guy. So he has a dead plumb and hopefully dead square. He's created from your framing a base for his tile. And it's the best base. It's the best base for the tile, and it allows the tile guy to control his wall because ultimately he's the guy that's gonna be responsible for what that tile looks like, as well as how the tile performs. That is, if it keeps the water from going places it's not supposed to go, which is onto this framing, right? Yeah. So float your showers, float your tiles, tub surrounds, all that stuff. Tell your tile you want to float. Get a price for doing a hardy back or underlayment, but if you can do it, float it. And a typical float is 3/4 of an inch minimum. So you need to take that into account when you're framing stuff out. So realize that, if you're framing a shower to fairly tight tolerances, and let's say it's 36-inch shower, it's going to wind up to be 36, and you frame it 36, a well-floated shower, you could be losing 2.5 inches between float and a tile, thin set and tile on both sides. That thing can now be down to 33.5 inches, which is not 36, is it? Rob talked about MR board. It used to be called green board. Now it's purple and all the kinds of other colors, but MR is moisture resistant. It used to be required in bathrooms. It's not now, but I like to put them around anywhere where there's a fixture that generates water. And all fixtures do generate water. So anywhere it's near plumbing fixtures, bathrooms, perfect. Do the whole lower 4 foot in an MR board. Maybe MR boards are near the shower, maybe the lid. You used to not be able to do MR board on the lid, but now you can. And around the kitchens, not a bad place to do it too. Veneer plaster. Alec is in a job right now where they're doing a veneer plaster. So it's not a full lath and plaster like my house is, which is 3/8 lath and then 1/2 inch of plaster, 1/2 inch solid of plaster on top of that 3/8 lath, giving me about a 7/8 thick wall. In veneer plaster, in our area, it's called Unical. That's what we use. We use Unical and we use Calcor board to put it on. It has a special paper on it. It's a gypsum board with a special paper that's to receive veneer plaster, which is about a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch, right? It comes out less than 1/8. And this is a guy applying it, and it's different than drywall. The joints are taped, but they're not mudded. They're taped, and nor are the nail holes mudded prior to. You tape the joints, and then you start applying the plaster, and you go from one end of the wall to the other. And when you're done, you're done. The plaster is applied. Maybe a little slight sanding, and that's it. And it's a plaster wall, which is a little smoother and a lot harder. The surface is a lot harder than drywall, and then drywall topping compound, drywall mud. Wall board on masonry walls. I don't know what the hell this is about. All right, that's enough of that crap. Let's get on to okay. He'll probably dream up something from here, or maybe just on what he's talked to you about insulation wise. I don't think I'll ask you about anything insulation wise, although I did Did I show you guys a video that I did with Dave? No, I did a really good video with Dave. So, but I didn't show it to you, so I probably won't be asking you much, if any, questions. There may be something pulled out of the book, and if there is, you'll know where to find it. Maybe the differences in insulation, you know, in a loose fill insulation or bad insulation versus a open cell and a closed cell. You may be confused by the difference between open cell and closed cell foam. People get them mixed up all the time. Suffice to say that the Icynene is a product that we use, and it comes in open and closed cell, or basically it's a 150 and a 250 pound format. The 250, the closed cell, is waterproof and about twice as expensive as what we use, like what's in the Mangoan project. I'm not sure I showed you that. I think in one video I showed you what it looked like, but I don't know if you'll have anything out of that text, out of that chapter, but the other chapters you will definitely have some stuff out of. And also, by the way, and Jim's going to go over this stuff with you on Saturday too. He's going to have those questions about wire size, panel size, breaker size, wire coloring, stuff like that. You would do well to look at your midterm, because I believe you will find there will be questions on that midterm that'll be the same, if not similar, on the final. So you can do yourself a solid by just familiarizing yourself with that. So I'm sure that there will be questions on electrical wiring, definitely right from the book, and they'll probably be right from the review questions and or the Goodhart Wilcox's exam questions. What's included in the building wiring, defining current, electrical current that goes in one direction, then another is known as what? Alternating. Yeah, very good. Alternating. Transformers are devices that change voltage by means of deduction. Is that true or false?
Induction.
Yeah, it's induction, right? Not deduction. So that'd be a big false. Electrical plan is not the same as a cable layout. I believe that's true. So anyway, there will be questions for you from this chapter, without a doubt. And they may be the exact review questions. They may be, well, why does this not want to go back? It's weird. Doesn't want to go back. I may pull some from the question bank, but I'm going to try to work on questions that are germane to the stuff that we did together.
We'll make them easy questions.
You want them easy?
Yeah.
If you want it easy, you should have taken another class. So let's see this thing for a second. I want to look at something here. Oh, okay. Let's go there. That's why. Okay, so I'm just looking at what we did, right? You can kind of look at that, see what went on when that Zoom recording. And sometimes, it's worth it to me. I'll just click on stuff like that and just go into it and see. Did I resume recording, you guys? Oh God, tell me I did. Tell me I did. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I did. I resumed. Okay. All right. But using the unsafe act or condition, we can effectively remove the structural insulation. They're proof. Here it comes up to the motor core. This is fun. I told you about if you got the dough, Duncan's job. Remember that? That's so cool. God, it just blows me away. Completely blows me away. All right, I'm gonna get out of this. I'm afraid to go back. Yeah, okay. Yeah, electrical wiring. Okay, so we talked about All right, we talked about chapter 30, mechanical systems, electrical wiring. That's a pretty involved one. That would be a good one. Again, you guys can study these chapters. I don't know how much prep you're gonna do or want to do or give yourself time for, but just know that in the 4 hours that we give you to give that test, to answer that test, it's probably enough it's enough time for you to go and find the answers. I'm going to try to talk Jim into give you a little more time, but we'll see. He's driving this in that regard. But I might be asking you about our routing clinic. I might be asking you a couple of questions about routing. Who knows, could possibly happen. Plumbing systems, one of my favorite things. We went through this whole thing with Jay, all 7 videos, Jay Allen talking about how he got into the trades, and then all those great plumbing things. Remember those things? And you can go back and all this stuff too. Right. So if I ask you a question, we're recording again. So let's go through that again. We're late. Come on. God.
Rodney, are all these videos, these recorded videos, are they all available to me on Pipeline?
They're all available to you in your Canvas shell on Pipeline.
Canvas shell?
Yeah. So the videos that I have shown, right?
Okay.
Now, if you want to see any and all videos and just go to a date or whatever, right? Or just index something I'm talking about to maybe a video. My YouTube channel is Rod Ut. And it won't come up until you type the whole thing in there, Rod space Ut, capital ROD, capital UTT, and then my YouTube channel will come up, and I've got 127 videos or something like that, 149 videos, a lot of Zoom recordings of classes. But if you go through, you'll see Jay Allen, you'll see the Rich McCoy one, you'll see all those videos. But in terms of the videos I've shown this semester, if you just go to your page, your Canvas, right? Here's what yours should look like. Yours will look like that. It won't be purple like that, but it'll look like that, right? And so where I was just looking at, right? That I asked something about the plumbing videos. You go to Canvas, you click on that, and Jay's video comes up, right? So everything that's in our Canvas shell, you have access to. Does that answer your question, Frank?
Yeah, I have a learning curve on all this Pipeline stuff, but okay, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, you know how to get to Canvas, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so when you go to get to Canvas, you should have a dashboard, and your dashboard should have whatever courses you're taking. You just click on CT 111, and you should see a screen that looks exactly like that.
Right.
Without the purple. And then just go to wherever you want it in and click on it, and you're in, right?
All right.
Okay. And don't forget, you guys, I'm here to help you. So I will be there at Wake on Wednesday, 1 week from today, on Zoom. But you're welcome to come, because there's no way I'm going to be sick in 1 week. Knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood. So I'll let you know if that's not the case, but I plan to be there in person, so you can come and take the test on Canvas there with me in person to ask questions to or clarify, or you can call me, text me. I'll have the Zoom fired up. You can go on Zoom if you're at home taking the test and ask me questions. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Good. So, and just going through this, remember the strong tie presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know. This might have been a lecture that I blew it and did not Zoom. I did not record it on Zoom because I should have that up. So I must not have. I'm sorry about that, man. But you remember him, and then, so you've all got access to the catalogs. I doubt there'll be a question, anything specific, but I might throw in a question. I will be going through and refreshing my memory on the stuff that we dealt with that wasn't book stuff and try to pull some questions out of it. Just so, and if you guys hopefully will know the answer or at least be close enough to figure out the answer. And if not, you can always go and look through here like this and go, yeah. Unfortunately, there's no recording to refer to, so you'll just have to kind of go by your memory on that, just like I'm going to have to be doing that. Same thing on that. And then we did a lab at the Wake Center. What was that? I was in Jim probably did that. You had a midterm that week, 100 question midterm, and then the very next week, or no, that same week, we went and had a lab, and we went out to Via Bendita. So I'll probably generate a question about Via Bendita. I already told you about that. You will definitely see questions on these safety stuff, on the safety stuff. And I will tell you what week and what the title of the safety meeting was about. So you see the question, it's on attitude and safety. Click on attitude and safety. You look for the question. You look for the keywords, right? If I talk about taking shortcuts, go to taking shortcuts, right? Look for keywords. I will give you keywords to find in here to look for that'll help you really answer the question. I mean, get the answer that I want you to have and not the one that you think might work. Because like I said, I might very well give you questions on the safety stuff. I may give you answers that would actually would work for an answer, but they won't be the answer that's on the safety thing. All right. I can't stress that enough. I want you to find the damn answer, the exact answer. The wording, and I will try to make some of it sound pretty real, and it will, some of it will really be the right answer, but just not in this case. That makes any sense. I want you to find specific things. All right, so remember these guys? I blew it there too and did not record until after they split. So I'm so sorry. This recording thing has got me turned around, but I will probably ask you something about them. You know, maybe, who knows, maybe not. We went over the midterm, and this is pretty much going over the midterm, the Zoom recording. There'll be a question from that for sure. I'll definitely hit you up with something about this, Definitely hit you up with something about that. And you've all got the on Canvas, you've got the plan, the corrected plan that you can pull up. I may ask you something about this, and you've got a video you can pull up on that too. And there it is. God. And don't forget, man, that if we do this stuff, or when we do this stuff, we are going to spend at least, come on, at least $5,000 buying this thing. Oh my God. When I first saw that, you guys, I thought, and they want us to do that with that? But Aryan, you're still my hero, man.
This is for the trellis. We have to do that for the trellis.
Yeah, don't you remember, Frank?
Well, yeah, I remember you discussing the trellis, but I didn't know you were going to buy a $5,000 machine for it.
I'm being facetious. What we have to use is the Hilti Hit 200. We have to use that, right? We have to use that epoxy. What the video goes on to show is Hilti's really jazzy drill that bores in masonry and has vacuum attached and does all kinds of, it does everything but shine your shoes. We don't have to.
We gotta love when another department throws another department under the bus like that. Gotta love it.
Yeah, and there's those bastards. We should go over there and count coup on their building sometime. mess it up, vandalize it. I didn't really say that, did I? Oh my God. The building got vandalized. Hey, I remember something, seeing something.
Toilet paper they're building.
For sure, you can expect at least a question, if not more than one, about that field trip to Morgan's job at 225 State. And if, again, like I said earlier, if you weren't there, I'm sorry that you weren't there, and nor was it recorded. I just wasn't going to record it. It wasn't part of what I had planned to do that day. I hope everybody showed up. So if you couldn't show up for whatever reason, hopefully you can guess the answers to the questions. They'll be answerable, and I won't make the questions so esoteric that if you weren't there, there's no way you can answer them. But besides, remember, I'm doing multiple choice and maybe a few true or false, which means you got a 1 in 4 chance of getting any question right if you just close your eyes and, point to one. So yeah, Morgan Mines, I just love that whole thing. I was so interested in that building and all the ways he figured that stuff out and how he dealt with site conditions. So again, we'll have a question about concrete burns. I was planning to go over 12, I guess, which is the drywall thing. I don't think I did much, but we did the Rob Thayer thing, the Rob Thayer interview, which I thought was really good. I enjoyed him. I thought he was very erudite. What does that mean? Anybody?
Well schooled.
Well schooled and well spoken. It means mainly well spoken, but yes, erudite. And there's a Zoom recording of that day, that evening. There's Rob.
This is just a short. Yeah. Okay, so these are rip cuts. So basically, rip cuts are some of the easiest to break. Once you score it, you just need kind of a positive, negative pressure.
Wait for it. Wait for it. I love that. Yeah. Just makes it look so easy, doesn't he? I guess it helps when you've hung about probably 1 million sheets of board. And then you had a Saturday lab with Jim last Saturday. I was sick as a dog all day long in bed. I don't think I got out of bed much that day. So I'm not sure what you guys did. Jim told me a couple things about it. I think you talked about windows and stuff like that, right? And that brings us to tonight. And tonight, I think I gave you as much as I could about I don't know what to expect and calculating water dousing, layout, building layout. Jim will ask you some questions on batter boards and building layout. Again, refer to your midterm Tyvek video installation of Tyvek post house wrap, pre house wrap. You guys understand the difference, right? Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, you do. You understand. Everybody understands the difference. And now, does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah, describe that tieback thing again.
Okay, so there's in that we all agree, or in agreeing that the method shown by the Tyvek guy to install windows is the one we all like. Jim and I like it enough to show you the videos that we think this is the way to do it, because there are a lot of ways to do things, and there are more than one ways to install a fin window. And you ask almost any contractor, he'll give you a different way. The two ways that Jim and I find to be the best way to do it are post and pre house wrap. So the video that I showed you guys was pre-house wrap. So the house was framed and there was no wrap on it, no Tyvek. So you had an opening and studs. And if you look at that video, how he did it, he ran that one piece across the bottom and then he did the flex wrap, and he did it in a particular way he did it. And then the video that Jim showed is post Tyvek. So they wrapped the whole house with Tyvek. going over the doors and over the windows. And when he came to a window to install the window, he made a slit, an I-shaped slit, right? And tuck things back and did it in a whole different way. So that's what I'm talking about.
Did you show your video on the Saturday lab that you went to State Street?
No, but it's possible that I didn't show it to you guys, that I showed it to my other class. I'm just misremembering. But I thought I had shown it to you guys, but maybe not. Does anybody have a memory of me showing a pre-house wrap video?
I don't recall.
All right, well, check it out. Check it out. Here we go. It's a short video. It's a very short video, actually. Water to penetrate. So to Tyvek specialist. I won't show the whole thing at 7 minutes, but or maybe I will. Have you guys seen this? You recognize
yes.
this guy's
Yeah, we
face?
watched that
Yeah.
Yeah, in this
in
class. right?
class. Yep.
Yeah, okay. I thought so. I thought you had. And was this, you know what?
After you have the sill pan in, highly recommend using screws.
Okay, you know what? So I think this was both ways, wasn't it? Didn't he show it both ways? Because this is already wrapped. Now I'm confused. Now I've confused myself. But at any rate, whatever video that Jim showed you, whatever video that Jim showed you about installing a window, that's what he'll have a question or two on, and I may have a question or two on it too, as long as I figure out. But that's the video, right? That's the video.
Yeah, I've seen that video, so I'm good with that.
Okay, and now that shows me that is a post. That's a post house wrap. That house was already wrapped in Tyvek. So I'm curious because I did show the video pre house wrap. I wonder what it is. What I actually showed. Installing. Yeah, so this is the one. So that one I showed you previous was the house was already house wrapped. This is to install it on open studs.
After I install it, I'll
Still a lot of the same stuff, but it's a little different.
contact both stud faces.
Now, have you guys seen that video? You guys seen that video?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, good. Well, then you're totally in the loop. Everybody's in that loop. Because they're just two different techniques. A lot of the same stuff, but different, a few different tricks to it, techniques. I'm losing the word. Different methods based on there being Tyvek on the wall first, and the other one no Tyvek. Any questions? Questions? Drywall. Yeah, questions? Frank was the only one that had a question. Nobody else has any questions? All right. So the good news is this is our second to the last class. That's also the bad news. This is the second to the last class. Your next class will be your last class, and you probably won't even be there, but you do have the opportunity to be there. I happen to know, unless Lou is out of town or seriously broken, he will be there. You know why Lou will be there? Because Lou is obsessed with getting an A. And to Lou's mind, getting an A means you milk your professor for everything you can possibly get out of him. So he knows if he shows up and asks the right questions, that he'll get some answers. And so I'm there for you, man. Any of you that show up and ask questions, they will be answered. Now, I won't just give you the answer to the damn question on the test. I promise you I won't do that. But I will walk you through how to get that answer.
Thanks for calling me out, Rodney.
No problem. It was done in good humor, right? That was a I went to a workshop on that, a calling out versus calling in. That was calling in.
Appreciate it. I'm going for that A.
Yeah, I know you are. Good luck on that one, though. I told you an A is going to cost you $1,000, and so far you've come up with about 700. It's just not enough, Lou.
Hey, you keep raising the price.
I know, but I get to do that. Alex
Ah.
already given me $2,000, and I'm still giving him a C.
Come on, man.
So yeah, come on. Any questions?
geez.
Alex Dominguez, you got any questions for me? Alex Gutierrez, you got any questions for me?
None currently.
Eric, Alex Dominguez, you there? Alex? Oh, God, amazing. Hey, and again, Arian, I don't see you here. Are you with Jose?
He's not in this class, I don't think, Rodney.
No, he is.
No, Arian
I'm
is-
here.
Yeah, he split. He left
Yeah,
early.
no, was there.
Hey.
You know what? I'm gonna give Arian a pass because he's the one that enlightened me on the rebar.
I'm here, Rodney.
Pardon me? Arian, where
I'm
did you
here.
go? How did you reappear? I just
No,
couldn't
I've
figure
been
it out.
here.
No, you left and came back. So Arian, I gotta give, he just saw it right away. And Alec, you don't even know what we're talking about. So I'll show you quickly. Show you what we're talking about. We're talking about, oh wait, you hear that? Listen.
Not
Hear it? You guys hear it? It's a cuckoo.
Oh, okay.
Did you see Frank's cuckoo clock? It's way bigger than your cuckoo clock.
Oh no, yeah, I don't want to see it then. I definitely don't want to see that. No way.
You know what's so silly about that is we don't even wind it up because we don't want to listen to the thing bonging in the middle of the night.
Well,
So
dude,
it
you
just
don't.
sits there.
So Frank, you don't have what I got. What I got is I got a sensor in mine that when the lights are off, it does not cuckoo.
Yeah,
Doesn't-
well,
Doesn't cuckoo and it doesn't play the songs either. I was looking on this site that my wife bought that clock and she bought it in the Black Forest a month ago when she was going down the Rhine. And I looked at the site. This company, I can't think of the guy's name right now. It's Hair something or other, but they make literally hundreds of clocks, and some of them were, I think the most expensive was 11,500, but a lot of them in the $2,500 range, and then all the way up to $5,000. But all the quartz movements you could get for a couple $100 all the way up to $500 or $600. This is a quartz one, so because I wasn't about, and they do have 8-day ones too. Is your a 1 day or an 8 day?
it's an 8-day. It's got like the 4 weights in there, but
Yeah,
honest to God, we stopped using it. It's like, it's just a decoration now.
I know. Usually it winds up driving people crazy. But Alec, I wanted to address this with you. The shade structure, got red tagged, and the thing that we got back, the corrections that we got back, where is that? I just swear I just saw it. I'm getting tired. I guess you probably are all tired too. So I'm just about to let you go. So hang with me for just a second. Even you, Alex Gutierrez.
Week 11.
Sorry, Alex Dominguez. Alex Dominguez, you there, Alex Dominguez? Okay, so this was our red tag. That was their That was their idea of alternate, which was really a bad idea. So that was our red tag, and I could not, for the life of me, figure out what what three number 4 bars each side. Now, what was the 3? What did the 3 even mean? Total. I couldn't figure out how that was working. With the parentheses and 3, 3 number bar. Okay, so that was it. So 3, the number 3 each of number 4 bars on each side, making up 8 total. I could not figure that out, man. And then Aryan said, he said it how it is, and I said, yeah, that's right. And then to get it really right, I drew it to a large scale. And there it is, right? 3 number 4 bars each side makes 8 in total, right? 8 bars in total, 3, 6, 7, 8, 3 aside. It was just the way it was described. I was really having trouble picturing it. But then all I really needed to do, besides hear Aryan say it, and which kind of jogged my mind to work for a change, is just draw it. So, it's just like almost anything I need to understand in construction, I just need to draw it for myself. And if I really want to understand it, I'll draw it to scale, and that really helps. So I'm sorry I did not get into scale drawing with you guys, because some of you don't know how to draw to scale. And I would like it if you did know how to draw to scale. So the very next class we have, I will make sure that that's a component. I like to do just one class and give you guys a whole class on how to use an architectural scale rule, and how I like to keep, and you've seen this before. I keep, besides the things I just pulled off that I used to do that drawing, and keep pads of paper, 1/4 inch graph paper, so that at any given moment, I can draw anything I want to draw. And I'll probably show you that before too. But I just was reminded of how much stuff I got in here myself tonight, because I was looking for something. I was looking for a template of all the templates I've got. And templates are handy. They're cheap, super cheap, but they allow you to draw all kinds of things. Like this is a house template. It's 1/4 scale. It's a house plan fixtures template. It probably cost me, I don't know, when I bought it, $5, maybe $4. I probably bought this 20 or 30 years ago. I've had it that long, along with the other probably dozen and a half templates I got. Circle templates to scale. All these guys here are cabinets for making stoves, right? Toilets, door swings are always great to have when you're drawing a plan. Lavies, bathtubs, corner showers. Pretty cool, huh? And so it just gives you the ability to draw plans and not have to go through architecture school. But you too can draw a plan. As a matter of fact, if there's a very good likelihood that when I finish school next week, I'll probably spend the next week drawing a kitchen and a bath for a guy I've been putting off. And then I'll probably draw a kitchen for the widow of Jim Morrison. Yeah.
Oh,
Jim Morrison, lives on up Yankee Farm, an incredible house. One of my proteges, Rusty, is working for him up there. Now, get this. I'm not going to blow any confidences here because nobody really knows Rusty, but Rusty is working right now for, he's basically working 3 people through that job that I mentioned to you, where I'll be drawing the kitchen, that job, and then her brother, and then somebody else they know. So he's working these 3 jobs. He's making $60 cash an hour. That's good money, man. That's 120. That's 120 a year. It's good money. And he doesn't have a license. He's just he's expertly tooled. He's really tooled. He's tooled up. He's a tool junkie like I am. And I got him when he was 19 and started training him. He's now 54. So he's got a lot of skills. He's got mad skills. So he should be getting that an hour, but to be able to get 60 cash. So that's not, he won't have tax returns, and I don't know what he's doing with his taxes, but I'd do that. But then you know what? The thing that kind of bugs me about it is he's actually got to work for it. Oh, what a drag that would be. I mean, come on, I'll take the 60 an hour, but I got to work for it? Forget it. No, yeah, you got to work to make that money. Huh? Right, Alec?
Yep.
So do I have any other questions from the field? And Alex Dominguez, did you come back? Because I mentioned you by name a few minutes ago and you didn't respond. So it makes me think you're just sitting there doing nothing and not in this class. Okay. Everybody else in this class, you know what I don't even want to know? Here's what I want to know. I want to know that you all are healthy and relatively happy. And I want to leave you with this thing about happiness. Do you know the root of happiness? The root word of happiness? The root word of happiness is to happen. That's right. Happiness because from to happen. Happiness is about what's happening. Yeah, that's right. Happiness is about what's happening. You're responsible for your own happiness. It's overrated, by the way. And please don't expect to be happy all the time. It would suck if you were happy all the time. It would suck for everybody being happy all the time. It's the beauty of life is that we have some ups and downs that make it interesting. So I do like to be happy, and I wish you all well-being and happiness when you want it. Okay. Until then, I hope I see some of you next week when I'm there on Wednesday administering your test or being available on your test. In the meantime, you can call me, text me, or email me anytime and let me know what's up or ask me any questions. Okay. Okay, guys, you're a great class. I totally agree with Jim. Besides my CT 114 class, which is way, way up there in terms of great classes, you guys are vying for, you may be tied. You may be tied for first place. Great class, great bunch of guys. I've enjoyed all of you. And is that a cuckoo clock behind you, Frank?
No, that's
That's
grandfather's clock.
Yeah. Nice, man. I like it. Very nice. Okay, so if there are no further questions, again, you guys all know I'm available if you need me for anything. So get in contact, please. And I'll see you next Wednesday or see you around the block or around the campus or wherever. Okay. Okay, Daniel.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thanks,
Well
Rodney.
done.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Peace out.
Thanks, Rodney.
Hey, thank you. And Daniel, thanks
Yeah.
for being such a good sport
Thanks,
about me.
Rodney.
Thanks for being such a good sport about me dogging you on your bird's mouths.
Of course, anytime.
All right, man. You guys have fun. See you later.
Take care, guys. Stay Thank you. safe. Bye.
What's that? Okay, man. Daniel, Hans, Alex, Mr. Frank, Mr. Ludan. Frank's going away. Of course. Hey, Alex Gutierrez, let's talk next week, okay?
Will do.
Okay, man.
Have a good one. Take care of yourself.
You too, man. You too. Yeah. Dominguez, Alex Gutierrez, Frank Mannix. Let's end this thing.